Hi students, a very pleasant and warm greetings to you all. Hope you all are doing fine. In the last session, we have seen about neurons and its types. In this session, we are going to discuss about structure of human brain. Let's enter into today's topic. Human nervous system. The human beings differ from other animals in our ability to think and take actions, which is due to the well-developed nervous system. Human nervous system is differentiated into central nervous system, peripheral nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Human nervous system is differentiated into central nervous system, that is CNS, peripheral nervous system, that is PNS, and autonomic nervous system, that is ANS. The CNS acts as center for information processing and control. The central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. Central nervous system, it consists of brain and spinal cord. The PNS is made up of the nerves which connect the brain and spinal cord to all parts of the body. Peripheral nervous system, this is the peripheral nervous system. It is made up of nerves, all the nerves which connect the brain and spinal cord to all the parts of the body. The ANS is formed of sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. Now let's see central nervous system. Central nervous system. The brain and the spinal cord are vital structures and well protected in bony cavities of the skull and the vertebral column respectively. So central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. So this is protected in bony cavities of the skull and the vertebral column. The central nervous system is formed of two types of matter such as white matter or grey matter with respect to the presence or absence of myelin sheet. So this one already we have discussed, presence or absence of myelin sheet. So central nervous system is formed of two types of matters based on the presence or absence of myelin sheet. Now let's see the membranes or coverings of brain. The meninges. The three connective tissue membranes covering and protecting the central nervous system structures are meninges. Covering and protecting the central nervous system structures. It is the connective tissue membranes. The three connective tissue membranes cover and protect. Okay, central nervous system structure, they are brain and spinal cord. CNS structures are brain and spinal cord. Yes, three connective tissue membranes cover and protect the brain. The first outermost layer, the leathery dura mater. Middle meningeal layer is the web-like arachnoid mater. Innermost membrane, the pia mater. Outermost layer dura mater, middle layer and inner layer. Where are meninges? So where are these meninges located? See in this picture, that is the skull region, outermost region, that is the skull region. So brain is present inside the skull. So next layer, that is the brain. Inside the skull, brain is present. Inside the skull, brain is present. In between the skull and the brain, some gap is present, that is the meninges layer. Now see this. So that is the skull. Here, now I am drawing the brain. Yes, now skull region, that is the skull, here brain. So in between the gap is present. Yes, so first layer, second layer and the third layer. First layer, second layer, third layer. Third layer is the innermost layer. First is the outer layer and second is the middle layer. The outer layer is the dura mater. Middle layer is known as arachnoid membrane or arachnoid mater. Then inner one is pia mater. So these are the three layers present in the brain. So these are connective tissues. So these layers are known as meninges. These three layers are known as meninges. Through this diagram, we are going to discuss the meninges now. This is skull. This region is known as skull. So in this region, this is the dura mater, the first layer, outermost layer. This is known as dura mater. Dura meaning tough. This is the tough layer. Matter, membrane. Dura, tough. Matter, membrane. Tough layer. So it is the outermost thick fibrous membrane. Dura matter is the outermost thick fibrous membrane. Now second layer, that is the arachnoid matter or arachnoid membrane. This layer, this is the arachnoid membrane. Arachnoid spider. Arachnoid meaning spider. It is the middle layer, thin vascular membrane providing web-like cushion. This is the thin layer providing web-like cushion. Then third layer, that is a pia matter. This is the third layer, that is a pia matter. Pia meaning soft, soft or tender. It is the innermost layer. Pia matter is the innermost layer, thin layer, delicate membrane which is supplied with blood. So this layer supply blood. This pia matter layer supply blood. This is the thin layer, innermost layer. So these meningeal membranes, these three membranes, dura matter, arachnoid matter and the pia matter. These three meningeal membranes protect the brain from mechanical injury. These layers or these membranes protect the brain from injury. Then one more thing, meningitis. Meningitis meaning that is a disease. Meningitis is a disease. It is a viral or bacterial infections. Bacterial or viral infections. Meningitis is an inflammation of the meninges. So this layer, outermost layer, if there is any inflammation, that condition is known as meningitis. That is a viral or bacterial infections. It can occur when fluids surrounding the meninges become infected. So how it occur? If the fluid surrounding the meninges become infected, when the fluid is surrounded in this outermost layer or innermost layer or the middle layer, at that time only this meningitis formed. The most common causes of meningitis are viral and bacterial infections. So virus or bacteria can cause this meningitis disease or meningitis infection. Parts of the brain. Human brain is formed of three main parts. They are forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Three main parts are present in the human brain. They are forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. So this region is known as forebrain. This orange color region, that is known as forebrain. This green color region, this is the midbrain, and the last region, last part, that is pink in color, that is hindbrain. So three regions are present in human brain: forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Let's see one by one. Now we are going to discuss about forebrain. The forebrain is formed of cerebrum and diencephalon. It is formed of cerebrum and diencephalon. The later consists of dorsal thalamus and ventral hypothalamus. Later it consists of dorsal thalamus. This region is the thalamus region and ventral hypothalamus. This is the hypothalamus, dorsal thalamus and ventral hypothalamus. So it is the most part of the brain, forward most part of the brain. So let's see the cerebrum. It is the largest portion, forming nearly 2/3 of the brain. So this cerebrum is the largest portion. This is the cerebrum region. It is the largest portion, forming nearly 2/3 of the brain. The cerebrum is longitudinally divided into two halves as right and left cerebral hemisphere. So longitudinally divided into two halves, that is right and left cerebral hemispheres. So two cerebral hemispheres are there, right cerebral hemispheres and the left cerebral hemispheres. The outer portion of each cerebral hemisphere is formed by gray matter and is called cerebral cortex. This is the outer layer of the cerebrum, outermost part of the cerebrum. So this layer is known as what? Cerebral cortex. This is the cerebral cortex, that is the outer region. One more inner region, that is the cerebral medulla. Medulla inner region. This is a cerebral medulla region. Inner region is known as cerebral medulla and outer region is known as cerebral cortex. The cortex is extremely folded, forming elevations called gyri with depressions between them termed sulci that increase its surface area. In the cerebral cortex area, depressions are there. These are the depressions. So these depressions are known as gyri and sulci. It increases the surface area. So this gyri and sulci, it is present only in the cerebral cortex area. It increases the surface area. Then each cerebral hemisphere, what are the two cerebral hemisphere? What are the two cerebral hemisphere? Right cerebral hemisphere and the left cerebral hemisphere. So here each cerebral hemisphere is divisible into some of the lobes, that is a frontal lobe, parietal lobe and temporal lobe. Then one more occipital lobe. So these are the lobes also present in the cerebral cortex region. These lobes are known as cerebral lobes and it is associated with this, specific functions. So in this area some of the lobes also present, though these lobes also responsible for some of the specific functions. Any damage in specific lobe in turn affects its function. So any damages if it is present in the cerebral lobes means it affects the function of the brain. The cerebrum is responsible for thinking, intelligence, consciousness, memory, imagination, reasoning and willpower. So this cerebrum region is responsible for some of the functions. What are the functions? Thinking, intelligence, consciousness, memory, imagination, reasoning and willpower. Now we can see these points. So it is the forwardmost part of the brain, the largest part which consists of hypothalamus and cerebrum. Then main thinking of the brain is done in this part, main function thinking. Then receives sensory impulses from different sensory receptors. Each then processes them and sends them back. So receives the sensory impulses from different sensory receptors and then send the impulses again. Okay, then has separate areas for hearing, smelling, seeing, hunger, etc. Some more functions: hearing, smelling, seeing, hunger, etc. Clear? Once again we can see. So it is the largest part. So this cerebrum is this forebrain is the largest part of the brain. Then nearly 2/3 of the brain consists of this forebrain. So it is divided into two regions, cerebrum and diencephalon. Again it is divisible into two, thalamus and hypothalamus. This region is the thalamus region. Here this is the thalamus region. Then what are the areas are present? Cerebral cortex, this region is known as cerebral cortex, that is outermost layer. Then inner layer, that is the cerebral medulla, then in between, inside of this middle area, one thick band is present, that is the corpus callosum. This is the thick band. This thick band is known as corpus callosum. Then depressions also present, gyri and sulci, it increase the surface area. Then functions, what are the functions? It is responsible for thinking, intelligence, consciousness, memory, imagination, reasoning and willpower. The next one is thalamus. So thalamus, in this region thalamus is present. Thalamus, it is present in cerebral medulla. It is a major conducting center for sensory and motor signaling. So where it is situated? Cerebral medulla. So in this area is known as cerebral medulla. So in this region this thalamus is present. So the function of thalamus is conducting center for sensory and motor signaling. It acts as a relay center. Thalamus acts as a relay center. Then third one is hypothalamus. Third part is known as hypothalamus. It lies at the base of the thalamus. So hypothalamus, this is the thalamus region. So it lies at the base of the thalamus. It controls involuntary functions like hunger, thirst, sleep, sweating, sexual desire, anger, fear, water balance, blood pressure, etc. These are involuntary actions. Involuntary actions means with our control or without our control. without our control. Okay, it acts as a thermoregulatory center of the body. It controls the temperature of the human body. It controls the secretion of hormones from anterior pituitary gland and is an important link between nervous system and endocrine system. This hypothalamus, it is a link between, there is a link between nervous system and endocrine system. This hypothalamus, it is a important link between nervous system and endocrine system. So these are the three parts. What are the three parts? Cerebrum, thalamus and the hypothalamus. Forebrain, cerebrum, thalamus and the hypothalamus and thalamus in this area. Have you all understood? Yes. Now we are going to see the midbrain. Midbrain. Second one is the midbrain. So midbrain is the middle part of the brain. Middle part. It is located between thalamus and hindbrain. So this is the midbrain region. Where it is located in between the thalamus and the hindbrain. This is the hindbrain region. So it is located in between the thalamus and the hindbrain. See, middle part of brain involved in activities like sleep, wakefulness, pain perception, etc. Change in the size of pupil. Pupil related to eye. Yes? These are the functions of midbrain. It is located in between the thalamus and hindbrain. Thalamus in this area and the hindbrain. Then third one is the hindbrain. Third one, hindbrain. So this hindbrain consists of three parts. Hindbrain consists of three parts. Pons, medulla and cerebellum. Pons, medulla or medulla oblongata. Then last one is the cerebellum. First let's see the pons. See here, pons, medulla oblongata and the cerebellum. These are the three hindbrain regions. So pons, first we can see the pons. Pons, it is a Latin word meaning bridge. Pons meaning bridge. It is a bridge of nerve fiber that connects the lobes of cerebellum. So it is a nerve fiber connects the lobes of cerebellum. This is the cerebellum region. So this pons connects the lobes of cerebellum. It relays signals between cerebellum, spinal cord, midbrain and cerebrum. It transmits the signals between the cerebellum, this region, then spinal cord, then last part, that is the spinal cord, midbrain region and cerebrum region. So that is the pons. Second one, medulla oblongata. So this medulla oblongata, in this region, that is the medulla oblongata. This is the medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata is the posterior most part of the brain that connects the spinal cord and various parts of the brain. So this is the posterior region, posterior most part, and connects the spinal cord. So later part is known as spinal cord. It connects the spinal cords and various parts of brain. It has cardiac centers, respiratory centers, vasomotor centers to control heartbeat, respiration and contractions of blood vessels respectively. So it also controls the involuntary actions without our control, that actions. So it also regulates vomiting and salivation. Clear? Then last part is known as cerebellum. This region is known as cerebellum. It is the second largest part of the brain, formed of two large sized hemispheres and middle vermis. Two large sized hemispheres and middle, that is the vermis. So which is the second large part of the brain? That is the cerebellum. First largest part is known as cerebrum. Second one is the cerebellum. It coordinates voluntary movements and also maintains body balance. Voluntary movements with our control. as voluntary movements and also maintains body balance. So hindbrain, 3 parts are present: pons, medulla oblongata and cerebellum. Functions also now we have discussed. Once again, see here, all the actions which are not in control of our will are called involuntary actions. So what is involuntary actions? All the actions which are not in control of our will. For example, heartbeat. Then what are the examples of involuntary actions? Respiration, breathing. These are involuntary actions, not in control. Then all the actions which are in control of our will are called voluntary actions, with our control. For example, walking, running, eating. These are the voluntary actions. Now let's see the functions of human brain. First, structure cerebral cortex. Function, sensory perception, control of voluntary functions, language, thinking, memory, decision making and creativity. Sensory perception, control of voluntary functions, language, thinking, memory, decision making and creativity. Second, thalamus acts as relay station. What does mean by relay station? Receive signals and retransmit them. Receive signals and retransmit them. Third, hypothalamus, temperature control, thirst, hunger, urination, important link between nervous system and endocrine glands. Temperature control, thirst, hunger, urination, important link between nervous system and endocrine glands. Cerebellum, maintenance of posture and balance, coordinate voluntary muscle activity. Maintenance of posture and balance, coordinate voluntary muscle activity. Last one, pons and medulla. Role in sleep awake cycle, cardiovascular, respiratory and digestive control centers. Now note down the question. Write the functions of human brain. So these are the functions of human brain. Now let's move to the next one, that is short answer questions. Short answer questions. First one, define stimulus. First question is define stimulus. Stimulus refers to the changes in the environmental condition that are detected by receptors present in the body. Relevant changes in the activities of organisms to a particular stimuli are called their reactions or responses. Once again, define stimulus. Stimulus refers to the changes in the environmental condition that are detected by receptors present in the body. Relevant changes in the activities of organisms to a particular stimuli are called their reactions or responses. Next question, name the parts of the hindbrain. Hindbrain is formed of 3 parts: cerebellum, pons and medulla oblongata. Cerebellum, pons and medulla oblongata. Third question, what are the structures involved in the protection of brain? The brain is covered by 3 connective tissue membranes or meninges. Number 1, outer dura mater. Number 2, middle arachnoid membrane. Number 3, inner pia mater. Now fourth question, which acts as a link between the nervous system and endocrine system? Hypothalamus of the forebrain acts as a link between nervous and endocrine system. Hypothalamus of the forebrain acts as a link between nervous and endocrine system. Question number 5. Differentiate between voluntary and involuntary actions. Voluntary actions. Actions performed with our will and control are called voluntary actions. Actions performed with our will and control are called voluntary actions. Example, eating, writing and walking. Involuntary actions. Actions performed without our control are called involuntary actions. Actions performed without our control are called involuntary actions. Example, heartbeat. Next point, they are controlled by the cerebellum. Controlled by cerebellum. They are controlled by the medulla and spinal cord. Involuntary actions are controlled by the medulla and spinal cord. Long answer question. Illustrate the structure and functions of brain. Illustrate the structure and functions of brain. So the parts of the brain, then each part have to write, then functions. So this is the answer, long answer question. How to learn thoroughly.